now time for the Lee County Yellow Jackets Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. We now take you to Keith Womack, your host for tonight's program.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and I'll be your host tonight as we discuss the Yellow Jackets' most recent game with Richmond County, as well as our upcoming game with Scotland County this Friday night. Our Coaches Show each week is brought to you by some great sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix-It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, and Brick Capital Video. These sponsors will bring you our Coaches Show every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on 105.5 WFJA. And of course, we'll rebroadcast it again 1 hour prior to the game time, which this week will be 6:30, with the game kickoff scheduled for 7:30 again on Friday night. We're going to take a short break and hear from our great sponsors. We'll be right back with head coach Steve Bordeaux right after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix-It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back to the Lee County Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. I'm your host, Keith Womack. And Coach, first of all, thanks for being in here tonight.
Yes, sir. Good to talk some football on a Tuesday.
Well, of course, we're going to talk a little football from this past weekend. Coach, tough loss Saturday. Game rescheduled because of some other scheduling conflicts around the conference. But Lee County goes to Richmond County, and a conference loss for the Yellow Jackets. Richmond County wins 34-7. We're going to talk about that game in just a minute, but I do want to go ahead and talk about the other games around the conference. Of course, Pinecrest defeated Scotland 31-25. Hope County with a huge victory over Union Pines 52-12. And Richmond County, in a game that was played on Tuesday night, the 12th of October, defeated Southern Lee 58-0 in that game, contest, which kind of leads us up to Week 10. We're also going to talk about this a little later in the broadcast, but Scotland County will be visiting Paul B. Gay Stadium to take on the Yellow Jackets on Friday night. The Cavaliers will be at Union Pines, and Coach, that's a big game as far as the conference goes. Both those teams around upper 30s in the RPI rankings, and a win to kind of close out the season could be big. Hope County will be at Pinecrest, and of course Richmond County, after playing 2 games last week, will be idle. But Coach, as we said, Jackets take one on the chin, 34-7 against Richmond County. I know it had to be a tough game. Just seems like all the breaks went against the Yellow Jackets on Saturday.
Yeah, I think some of that hats off to Richmond, having a really good game plan and executing it. There were some bright spots throughout the game for us. We saw some things, really good competition at times, and then we also saw things that we really need to continue to improve on to beat really, really good football teams, and that's what we have to do if we want to get to our end goal.
Well, Coach, in that game, a pick 6 and then 3 turnovers inside the 40-yard line of the Yellow Jackets, which really gave them short field position on several opportunities in the first half. And, of course, Richmond County takes advantage of it, puts 34 points on the board, and at halftime, the Yellow Jackets trailed 34-7.
Yeah, and a couple series, defense had a chance to get off the field, even with those short field possessions, and we just couldn't get off the field or third and fourth down, and that's really been a focus this week. We got to find a way to win those downs on offense and defense when we have the opportunity.
Well, Coach, a nice job running the ball by the Jackets. So your offensive line did a great job. And B.J. Brown, we'll talk about him in a few moments with some of the awards this week. But 17 carries, 118 yards, sure had to be proud of the sophomore.
Yeah, definitely. B.J. and Kendall both ran the ball hard. The offensive line did a good job of Richmond packed the box. So any yard we got was going to be a tough yard to earn, and so every one of those 140 some yards was definitely earned.
Well, the tough side of the offensive game for the Yellow Jackets Saturday had to be passing the ball. Jackets only 6 yards through the air, and as we know from all the games that they've done this year, typically it's about a 50-50 split, running, passing, and the Jackets are forever putting up 200-300 yards passing, and only 6 yards passing on Saturday. Will Patterson just 4 of 19.
Yeah, so we're just a little off sync there. It comes from all the phases. Maybe a couple of times the offensive line could have blocked a little better. Maybe a couple of times we could have run a better route. Maybe sometimes we could have made a better throw, or maybe it was a drop pass. It was a little bit of everything. Maybe sometimes the offensive coordinator made a better call. All those things work together, and we'll get that thing looking a little bit better.
Well, and it's great to hear, because not that they played bad offensively, but I agree with you. Typically when a team does a great job on defense, it was a great team effort. And the same thing would hold true for the offense, is when the offense puts up big numbers. It's not just the running back. It's not just the quarterback. It's the 11 guys that you put out there on the field.
Ain't no doubt about it. It takes everybody to make a play happen. And, as we went back and watched some film this weekend as coaches, and, there were opportunities that were there. And then in one of our 3 levels of our team, whether it's OL, quarterback, receivers, somebody made an error. And when you make that error, that opportunity doesn't present itself much.
Well, Coach, make no mistake about it. We were playing a really good team Saturday. Richmond County deserves a lot of credit for the victory. Again, we feel like some of the breaks, had they gone our way, might have made it a little different. Who knows? But they are, ranked number 3 in Max Preps 4A. So very good team, and obviously a big win for them. They are now at 7-2, 5-0 in the conference. Pinecrest, which got a victory on Friday night over Scotland County, now at 6-2 overall, 3-1 in the conference. And of course, Friday night's opponent, Scotland County, at 5-2. They're also 2-1 in the conference. Lee County now drops to 5-3. Max Preps ranking still number 3 of 51 teams. So still in a good position because of the strength of schedule and the win-loss record this year, but 2-2 in the conference. Just to go down the list, Hope County at 4-5 overall, 2-3 in the conference. Union Pines at 1-7 overall, 0-3 in the conference. And the Cavaliers at Southern Lee are 0-7 overall, 0-4 in the conference. And Coach, I only say that because, every game is important, whether it's the bottom of the standings or the top. And Lee County with a big one coming up this Friday night against Scotland.
Yeah, definitely so. So the way this one's going to turn out is really us and Scotland at this point fighting for the 3A seed from our conference for the playoffs. There's one guaranteed spot from our conference for 3A getting to the playoffs. And what that really is going to come with is a home playoff game. Whichever team does not win is going to be looking on that Saturday bracket Saturday, trying to figure out if they made it for one, and then 2, where they're probably traveling, because most likely it won't be a home game.
Well, you never want to leave any doubt.
No,
and
that's
if you
right.
just win ball games, you don't have that doubt. And of course, speaking of which, even including Friday night's game, if you want to go ahead and tell the fans where they can pick up their tickets for Friday night's game.
Yeah, so expected to be a good crowd. It's going to be GoFan. Type in gofan.co, and it's Lee County. Type that in, and you'll have the link right there. You can go ahead and get your ticket. You'll have the link on your phone. You can roll right through the gate showing it to them. Get there early, get you a good seat, because it should be a good game.
And of course, that game will be broadcast live on 105.5 WFJA. I do want to remind everybody, you can also go to WFJA, WWGPradio.com and listen to it from anywhere in the country. So make sure you tell your family and friends, if they can't make it to the game, that they can listen online. But also want to remind everybody to come out and support the Yellow Jackets Friday night. Come out early, tailgate, do whatever you have to do, but show some Yellow Jacket enthusiasm.
Definitely so, and it's going to be a pink out, supporting breast cancer awareness. So the student section and the coaching staff will be rocking the pink shirts. So if you got some pink gear, if not, put your favorite jacket stuff on and come on out to the stadium.
Well, Coach, again, thank you for discussing the Richmond County game. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Friday night's game with Scotland County. We'll also talk about some of the offensive and defensive players of the game, and, of course, the coach's choice for the Wilkinson Chevrolet player of the game. All that and much, much more when we return.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back once again to the Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and of course, Coach, we talked about last week's game. We put all that behind us. Now it's time to move on because we've got a really big one coming up on Friday night against Scotland County.
Yeah, definitely. So huge game for both of us, for conference seeding purposes, for playoff seeding purposes, for winning a football game purposes. You know, everybody works their butt off all season to win football games, and this is going to be a good clash of two really good football teams.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very excited about it. Of course, Scotland County comes in at 2-1 in the conference. The Yellow Jackets at 2-2. Basically, this win, if a win for the Yellow Jackets, would put them tied with Scotland County, but by virtue of the victory, they would obviously be seated ahead of them. But of course, you know, you don't put the cart before the horse. You got to win that game first.
Yeah, definitely. So it's gonna be a tough one. I'm saying they're a really good football team. They're very well coached, and they're used to being in big games. They're the last few years, as we have, we've been able to have some success in the playoffs. So it won't be anybody in that game that's not used to being in a big atmosphere.
Well, Coach, as we get ready to play Scotland County, we know they're good. We know they're big. We know they're athletic. We know they've got speed. They've got all the good qualities that Lee County has. They're a 3A school playing in the mixed league, I guess, or the between the 4A and the 3A, so they're kind of in the same enrollment type that Lee County is. I think this is going to be maybe one of the best games of the season.
Yeah, I hope so. As long as it works out for us, I hope it is one of the best games of the season. You know, they are all those things that you mentioned, and they have a really good quarterback that can throw the ball around. And on offense, at the skill positions, they have guys that when they touch it, that every time they touch it, they can go score a touchdown. Whether it's at the receiver position, at the running back position, they have a really big offensive line, a couple really good ones up front. So it's going to be a challenge for us on defense, and then. For us on offense, they're an aggressive team. They have big corners that like to play, aggressive football. Hey, kind of similar like to Richmond did, and they're not going to shy away from putting pressure on us up front.
And we know they're going to watch film and see some of the things that we've been very successful at, and they're going to see some of the things that maybe a Pinecrest and a Richmond County did to slow the Jacket offense down a little bit. How do you prepare for a game like this? Do you mix a few things up, or do you throw a few wrinkles in?
I think we always have things that are ready whenever we need to use them. But for us, offensively, it's always fix the things that didn't go well the week before. Because we have an offensive system that when the plays are called, it's called to beat a certain thing, and if it's there and we execute it, it's going to win. So depending on how they line up will depend on what the plays that we would call. But we always have a few, extra things in the back pocket.
Yeah. Well, Coach, it'll be the first time Scotland County's been to Lee County in a while. And I know the fans are going to be excited, and they're going to be there to support you guys Friday night. We had there's a lot of things, I guess, to work on after a loss. Yeah. Do you get more out? I know you never want to lose, but do you find yourself where you can evaluate your team a little more after a loss as opposed to a win? How do you kind of come out of a loss like this to prepare your team?
I think anytime you play a good football team and you play a good football game, I think you can always find things more so than maybe a blowout game that you can find to fix. And one of the keys that I felt like, even from Pinecrest and Richmond, we kind of look back and reflect, it is on third down, when we have a chance to get off the field on defense, we have to do it. We played some really good football on defense, and we put people in situations, and we got to win third down. On offense, if we get it to 3rd and 3 or we get it to 4th and 1, we have to win those downs. So that's been a big key for us. That's something that really stood out watching film. So hopefully on Friday, the work in practice pays off.
Well, Coach, the work paid off even in a loss for a couple of guys. We had some really good, great defensive efforts, some good offensive efforts, and of course, because of our good friends over at Norman Financial Group, who allowed John and I to pick the offensive and defensive players of the game, we have those winners. And of course, on the defensive side of the ball, Ayo Adesanya was our defensive player of the game on Saturday.
Yeah, Ayo's only a sophomore. He's played a little bit more and more as every game's went on this season. Early in the season, he's been playing a lot of special teams. The last few weeks, played a whole lot of defense. He's an extremely hard-working kid. He's very, very strong already in the weight room. Going to be one of the strongest kids on the football team. Just a super effort kid that really has started to understand football, and his potential is keep growing. He's going to keep growing.
Well, since we got it on the subject of sophomores, let's keep it there. Our offensive player of the game, again presented by the Norman Financial Group, with a great game running the ball Saturday, was B.J. Brown.
Yeah, B.J. had a heck of a game. And I think just like I talked about Ayo getting better every week, B.J., from the spring till now, still continues to improve, still continues to get little things better, and sometimes it's scary that he can still improve because as good as he already is.
Yeah, it's impressive that our offensive and defensive players, both sophomores, so congratulations to both of those guys. And thank you to the Norman Financial Group for a great sponsorship. And speaking of great sponsors, we have another one at Wilkinson Chevrolet. Coach, that task you and the coaching staff each week with picking the overall player of the game. And Saturday's player of the game was?
Yeah, we went with B.J. Brown. B.J. affected greatly 2 phases of the game. He was the best player offensively for us, stat-wise, and just, go back and watching the game. And then he had a kick return. So, he affected special teams and offense. And, I look forward to continue to see him develop and grow and turn into one of the leaders as we move forward.
Well, congratulations to Ayo Adesanya and B.J. Brown for our players of the game. And thank you, of course, to the Norman Financial Group and also to Wilkinson Chevrolet for being a great sponsor. Coach, anything that we can look forward to coming up with this game? We talked about maybe throwing in some wrinkles, doing something a little different. The Yellow Jackets will have their game plan, similar to what most Yellow Jackets fans have seen most of the year. But any players in particular that you feel like going into this final season that have just grown and really impressed you throughout the season?
Yeah, I think one that's really stepped up throughout the season has been Noah Johns. Noah has done an outstanding job for us, plays wheel linebacker for us. And week in and week out, he's popping up making plays, or even if he's not making the play, he's setting his teammates up to do their job. So I would think he'd be the guy defensively that kind of has showed up a lot. And one that everybody knows this name, but Tyreek McKendall. Tyreek has done an outstanding job of adapting to things we needed him to do. The last few years, all we did is we lined him up outside and let him play receiver. This year he's played inside receiver, outside receiver, played strong safety, played free safety. He's done all kinds of things on special teams. And at this point, he can call our defense. He understands what's happening. He understands why it's happening. He's an extremely smart football player. So not just proud of how good of a football player he is, but how great of a kid and leader he's become.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet him bagging groceries one day.
Yeah.
His off-football job, and he is a great kid. I would tell you, Noah Johns, it's all about the hair.
Oh yeah, he's got the flow. He mentioned it the other day about he wasn't sure when the last time he got it cut, but that stuff's going. I'm a little bit envious, I guess.
Well, and I would be in trouble too if I didn't mention it. Probably has something to do with his great parents and then also his awesome girlfriend. So we'll just leave it at that. Of course, I happen to know her very well, a friend of the family. But congratulations to both those guys. Coach, as we get ready for Friday night's game, everybody in pretty good shape?
Well, we got a couple guys that are visiting Coach Womack. Coach Womack's as good as it gets, getting guys ready and getting them as prepared as we can. And I'm hoping on Friday that we got as many jackets and jerseys as possible. Even before we get to Friday, we have Thursday. JV team will travel down for a JV football game to Scotland County. And right now, that's our last scheduled JV game. We're still looking for one more, hoping we can find one for the following week. But right now, we got to go down to Laurinburg and try to win us a JV football game to end the season.
Well, Coach, best of luck on Friday night. We're going to take one more quick break and come back right after these messages.
Yes, sir.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix-It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back once again to the Lee County Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. And Coach, first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate you being here.
Yes, sir. Another fun Tuesday night. Hopefully we have a great Friday night.
Well, I also want to make sure that I wish you, and John and I wish you, the best of luck on Friday as the Lee County Yellow Jackets get ready to take on Scotland County. I want to remind you that to join us at 105.5 WFJA this Friday at 6:30 prior to our game, which will kick off at 7:30. Our coaches show will be posted on the WFJA website and the WFJA Facebook page tomorrow or Saturday by noon. And we invite you to watch and share this week's show. We hope you will take these opportunities to join us this season on the only radio station to bring you Yellow Jacket football live as it happens. We'd also like to remind you to check out the WFJA website. Go to sports, then high school football, and you'll be able to see choices of different pages that include a results page. It'll have complete game articles posted right after midnight, after the game on Friday night. And, of course, the conference standings and power rankings, schedules for all the teams in the Sand Hills 3A, 4A, and up-to-date season stats, all for the Lee County Yellow Jackets, and, of course, much, much more. And, of course, we'd like to say again, best of luck to the Yellow Jackets as they get ready to take on Scotland County. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors for bringing you our show tonight. And, of course, they include Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Jones Printing Company, Fix-It Plumbing, and, of course, our good friends at Brick Capital Video. And we thank you for listening to WFJA Sports. Let's get ready, Jacket fans. It's time for Yellow Jacket football.
You've been listening to the Lee County Yellow Jackets Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux and show host Keith Womack. On behalf of all the Coaches Show sponsors, we thank you for listening to tonight's program. This has been a production of WFJA and WWG.